It's a good evening from the studios in Springwood, Brisbane, Australia, and it's a nice change to be in the studios after being at sea for 68 days from Gold Coast all the way up to Darwin. Seen aspects of Queensland and Northern Territory one is very rarely seen, except for travelling on a boat. But needless to say, we're back, and the photo that you see in the background is Lake Mackenzie on Fraser Island. That is absolutely pure white sand, and when you walk on it, you can hear it squeak, and the water is translucent. It's actually, you can see the bottom of it. It's all fresh water. Fraser Island, folks. But in the meantime, it's a reach out to the UK in the Northern Hemisphere, and top left-hand corner in red corner is none other than Andrena Forrest. It's a good morning to you in the UK.
Hi, Jeffrey. Good morning, everybody. Today's the 3rd of July, 2025, and it's my great pleasure to have Joy Wisdom on the show. Now, we had Joy on in 23rd of January when I had a look back, and Joy has got she lives up to her name, Joy Wisdom. She's got so much wisdom to share. She's a teacher. She's an author of some beautiful books. Holistic practitioner. She's vanished from the screen. Oh, there she is again. Can you hear us, Joy? I think Joy's we've had a few hiccups this morning, to say the least. Can you hear us now, Joy? Hello?
No,
can't hear you.
Yeah, she's going to turn the stuff off.
Right, we can't hear Joy at the moment for some reason. So anyway, she's, like I was saying, she's an author of some beautiful books, and she gifted me these a long time ago, and as she's not speaking yet. So she's written these beautiful books, and I am very slowly working my way through. Hello? Am I on my own? Oh, you flipped screen.
There you go.
So she's going to be talking today about the shell of the soul. And I tell you what, this book is absolutely crammed packed with knowledge and wisdom and all sorts of things. Hello, Joy. Can you hear us now? No. We had her earlier. She was talking earlier, so I don't quite know what's going on here. So
it'll be her mobile phone. Yeah.
So she's also a women's and children's health specialist. She's founder of the Joy Wisdom Trust. She's set up ZEST for Life and D.A.R.E. And today she's going to be talking about emotional pain, which you don't find on an X-ray. So, and all of us have suffered emotional pain in some way or another. So I'm hoping soon. Are you available, Joy? Right. Well, I don't quite know what we do here now then.
She's got a camera. I think she's got her phone and she's put it sideways and she's gone and stuffed it. Yeah.
Can you hear us, Joy? Yes? No, I think she's frozen now, isn't she? Right. Well, while we're waiting for Joy, I just wanted to say that picture that you shared behind. When I first saw it, I thought, God, that's snow. I mean, it, like you say, it's just pure white. It looks like a snow scene. You would never know from an English point of view.
Yeah, I understand.
Apart from the hills.
Maybe what I'll do is I'll kick her off, and then she can come back on. I think that might be the only option we've got here. She was talking away, and then boom, boom. Okay, now she's gone off. Here she's come. Let's see what happens now. I can hear something. Hello?
Yeah. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Houston, we've got a solution. Yeah.
Well done, Joy. Well, I've welcomed you to everybody, and I've shown your books. So let's start at the very beginning. I know that you were on in January, and you this journey you started because your husband had an accident, and So do you want to sort of share in a nutshell how it all started, and then you can go on to telling us about emotional pain, which you can't see on an X-ray?
Thank you, Andrena. Lovely to be here this morning. And I would love to share about my story. Yes, my story started about 30 years ago, of where my husband had an accident, and eventually he had operations and so on, but I could help him by working on his feet. So then I went on to look at different reflexology and so on. And I was fascinated and wanted to, and counseling onto it just went on.
It's going to be one of them mornings. Oh my God. Joy, we can't hear you. This is live, folks.
I have to kick her off.
I don't think she realizes we can't hear her. Oh, holy moly.
Yeah, but she's having a problem with her bloody computer or laptop, and then that wasn't working, and then she's tried her mobile phone. That was working, and then it stopped, didn't it? So, yeah, I've just kind of kicked her off, so she'll come back in again.
But I think somebody said to me yesterday, was something gone, Mercury gone retrograde, or one of the planets had gone, and you know, lots of people were having lots of problems. I don't know. It's just life. Oh.
No, so that's the woman's poster, and then she actually given.
Did you get her email? Oh, I was going to say, did you get her diagrams?
Yeah, she's back. No, she's dropped out. So anyway, let's start with the emotional pain. If she comes back in, it's either she's on mobile data or she's on Wi-Fi. Obviously, the signal's not that strong where she is in the UK. Where are we? Slide 1. Obviously, it'd be nice if Joy was on board and she can tell us what's going on. There she comes.
Hello.
Back. Can you hear me? Yeah. Emotional pain travels around the body. And what I found was that people could have pain. They're taking their painkillers, but it's actually not working. And that's not working because they have the emotional drive that is keeping that pain within them. And it's 1997, I think, where it was first discovered. I discovered it with just working with people and working with my intuition, etc., with D.A.R.E methods. And the research has shown that there is a somatosensory cortex in the brain that then makes us very sensitive to our what we receive. But from my experience, that goes into the biological, into the physical, because we have these knocks, or for instance, if we knocked our arm on the door jamb, it would send a vibration through the body, and it can get
Oh, now she's going to mute herself.
No, I did unmute. It keeps going off. The pain, you can knock your arm, for instance, and that will ricochet through the body, and the body will sometimes it gets stuck in the body. If you're very, very healthy, then it should ricochet out. If you're not so healthy, then it can get stuck in different parts of the body, and therefore the body doesn't know what to do with that, so it puts tissue around it. And once it puts tissue around it, it's part of you. It is part of your body. And this is where we can have all sorts of different areas of pain, but actually it's emotional pain, and it's releasing that emotion or memory from the tissue that then helps it to dissipate. So these are some of the methods that we use in D.A.R.E. And the somato sensory effects, we are all different in our sensory effects and how sensitive we are to touch. Some people can have touch and not feel very much at all. Other people can be very, very sensitive to that touch, as they can be for the levels of pain. So again, some people will have great levels of pain they can take. Other people, it's much smaller. And when we have emotional pain, we are then being affected, and we can store it anywhere. It can be that neck problem or the shoulder. Lots of people hold emotions in their back, in their spine, and certainly we can find it around the body. And some of the methods that we use, we can then track that within the body and finding where that is, and why when people take painkillers it doesn't work. And different universities, etc., have done trials. Harvard University released information back in 2003 around saying to practitioners that you need to take into consideration the emotions of the person when you're treating them for pain. And it's new theories, new thinking, but it happens, and we are creating those emotions as we go through our lives. And the thing is that clients will say, oh yes, I can, that I feel that's gone, but now it's in my knee. Now it's in my neck, and so on. And this is where we store, and certainly it causes a lot of weariness and elements of depression, anxiety that comes from pain, because pain is very wearing and can affect us in all sorts of different ways. And certainly by dealing with the emotions, we can get release from all sorts of things.
Yeah, I suppose that like taking a painkiller is like putting a plaster on, isn't it, really?
It is. It is. I mean, we have tears. We have the bones that will wear out, the mineral and vitamin side, well, the calcium, etc. That can then cause its own issues. We can look at was brought back again to the birth and the formation. It depends what mum's got for us to take on board. And they say that down the line you are, the first one gets the best. And then subsequent children may get less as they are then going. I know.
Say no more.
Yeah.
So, like,
So
you
it's
know,
very
like,
much involved in carry on. Sorry.
no, keep going.
It's very much involved in fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, very much involved in pain.
How much do we bring in from past lives?
Enormous. Yes, the past life influences create lots of influences, and it can affect the performance of the organ or the system. So the organ and the system can be working on previous life influences, but we can also have the influences from transgenerational trauma. That is also passed down of such, passed down through the womb, and can be living, for instance, our grandparents' gut issues rather than our own. So we can be influenced, and they can be, the systems can be then affected. And changing your diet, going through the modern thinking around the gut isn't going to make any difference, because it's being dictated to at an organ level, digestive level, from grandparents or even further back. And that's where we need to take into consideration the bigger picture. And I've just been at the Integrated Personal Medicine in London for 3 days, and there is a video of the talk I gave about transgenerational issues and the gut on the site, so people can have a look at that. It's very much, again, around the unseen influences that do affect us on many levels, down to the disconnections that we can have within our joints. And certainly you can find these impressions from past lives in the joints, in the bones themselves, and they carry the memories of those impacts. So if you have had strangulation or beheaded, for instance, will be a of connection at the throat, affect the individual in how they feel their self-worth, etc., around being gagged or being suppressed in some way. So it's, our throat is our avenue of expression, and so we can't give out that expression, or the voice can be affected at lower levels of frequency, vibration, so that we don't feel we're being heard. So we can have all of that going on in the background for the individual.
What about you know, you're saying, like, you know, if you, like, when you're a child, you fall down and you hurt yourself, like, that's an emotional pain, isn't it? And then, you know, like, all through childhood, you know, like, especially boys playing football, fall down and bruise. I mean, all these little things are all locked in within the body.
Absolutely, yes. They create shock and impacts, and that ripple goes out, as I explained earlier, and it can be then stuck, depending upon the nurturing and the help, the bonding that we have. Depends how fast we can dissipate that, and how we then can or keep them in the bone, in the area. Those impacts go to very deep levels. The emotion at the time and the level of adverse trauma that's felt can be huge. And the ACE studies, adverse childhood, was done back in the late 1990s showed that it goes on, the emotional trauma goes on to decline biological systems, and it goes on to create things such as inflammation in the body that goes on to create heart attacks, arthritis, and so on. And there's a lot of evidence about that. And since the first ACE studies, other groups have done their trials, and their trials have come up with the same evidence. Of course, we don't stay children. And of course, we have adverse trauma at any age. So my thinking.
Have we lost her? No. Looks like we've lost her. Yeah. What do we do, mate?
What about one of her videos that she put up on her website to have a look at for a minute?
Hang on a sec. Poor girl's talking away and doesn't realise it. I'll kick her off again, eh?
Yeah, it might be an idea in the nicest way. God. It's a number 1 day today, and new beginnings. Flip.
Is it?
Yeah.
I had a look on videos. I don't think there was anything in their video section. Yeah.
All right. Right. Okay.
Yeah. We'll go back to this one here. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, you know, most people have suffered pain, haven't they, and trauma at some time in their lives.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really an area that we need to investigate much, much further. We're not taking into consideration the emotional impacts, and they affect us on a much, much bigger scale.
Hey, you do realise you've dropped out again.
Can you hear me?
You're talking away, and no, there's no sound coming out, and then your camera turned your camera phone went horizontal with no video. So I kicked you out so you can come back in, and of course when you do that you can start talking again. All good, mate.
Okay.
Your signal's not very good, Joy, for some reason.
Yes, you've gone muted herself. Here we go. Yeah. All right, let's get back into it.
Can you hear us?
No, I don't think she can. I don't think the mobile phone's really up to it, is it? No?
No, so...
Mobile data or Wi-Fi from the modem? No.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been very good all the way through. She's sort of coming and going and on and off, so I don't quite know.
Yeah.
What we do here, really.
Kick her out again. Hey, emotional pain, yeah, like as you mentioned before, it doesn't come up on X-ray, so.
Well, that's right. We've all, well, most of us, not many people I know suffered pain from one reason or another. And I know, like, I've been in an accident, and the pain and trauma, it's affected me for a long time. Right. Can you hear us, Joy? Can you speak?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yes.
Because you keep coming and going. Your signal is not very good.
Yeah.
Yes, it must be. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
I think it's a new form of pain. It's called electronic pain. Yeah.
Techno pain.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Go on.
So
Anyway, you found your husband. Your husband was crook, and then you started the journey, and then you made some major discoveries in it, and as a consequence, you set up Allonus as your D.A.R.E operation, and the rest is history, isn't it? So, you've been traveling around the UK, or you've been going to Europe, or you've been to North America or Australia?
I do a lot of online with people from around the country and Europe. So I'm kept pretty busy, plus training practitioners. So, people can sign up. They can have one-to-one, and I've got other practitioners that work with us as well. It's a different way of treating people. We actually work with the person and their needs rather than the label, because we're full of all sorts of things beyond the label, and the outcome is not the cause very often. So it's very much working with the person rather than the disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen people come on the show and talked about acupuncture, and kinesiology, muscle testing, brain gym, educational kinesiology. How do you get your patient to reveal where their injury or pain's coming from? How do you, without going for an X-ray or MRI, how do you do it intuitively? Pendulum dowsing?
Intuitively, I teach people to open up to their six senses, and we work with our intuition, and we can see the pain developing their third eye and clairaudience, clairsentience levels. We can tune in and see where that pain is. We need an X-ray. So it's a bit like the machines they use for the ground to see what's underneath. We're using our senses, and that we can then see that from a psychic point of view, and then work with them. But we also work with what the body and the psyche tells us. The person may think they know what they need, but the body will tell us what it needs. And
that's a bit like kinesiology.
Goes way beyond kinesiology, Andrena. I've had kinesiologists come and train, and it goes way beyond that, because we're dealing with the whole of the body, and we're also dealing with the body and the mind. So we are dealing with the emotions, and certainly kinesiology is a great way to train, but there are deeper levels to go to.
But that, I think like kinesiology is, like you go saying, like, I've got a pain in the neck, but then the body, like you say, the body will give you the information, well, it's not coming from there, it's coming from somewhere else. So and I know you're very, very gifted in being able to see in a person's body. You can see all sorts on the body and in the body, and I think you've said you can see knives and swords and all sorts of things that people have been carrying from lifetime after. I mean, would you like to share a little bit about that? Because obviously, that's a gift where you've worked and fine-tuned yourself to be able to do all of these things. So for people that are maybe new listeners and don't really understand, would you like to share a little bit how you that what you can see in people?
Sure, thank you. Very much around my development around my third eye, I started to see all these things in people, and I had one particular person that came to me, had terrible back pain. They couldn't walk, and I started to work with them, and he'd actually broken his back in a previous life. And by finding that and releasing those memories and impacts, he said it was the weirdest thing he'd ever experienced, because he had flashes of what had happened to him. As well as I could see, he could see it. And at the end of the session, I was using my craniosacral therapy methods, and it didn't work. And it was when I started working on this past life injury that the pain started to ebb and started to reduce, and the healing could take place within the bone and to take away the impacts. And this is what I'm about, bringing back memories and impacts from that trauma, from that devastation. Because you break your back, you are very reliant on other people, work, so that grows. And of course, the frustration of not being able to do anything. If you've broken your back in the Middle Ages, it wouldn't be very nice, because we haven't got the support of our medical thinking of those times to what we have today. It does make a much deeper impact upon the individual, and by releasing that, the man at the end of the treatment got off the bed, stood up straight for the first time in weeks, and said the pain has gone. So that's how dramatic it can be. Sometimes it is levels for people. But it is, it made me realize that all the training I'd had, which was wonderful and marvelous training at the time, it wasn't getting to the levels. And this was my frustration, and why in 2000 I did a quest of my own to find out, well, why is it some people get better and other people don't? People take longer than others. And this is where I found that emotions was at the core of it. You find the emotion, you release the emotion, and we've got plenty of it today, let alone past lives and bringing it back with us. And unfortunately, these weak areas, because they do become weak areas, is where, one guy had, it's always this ankle on the left side. Every time I'm playing football, the ankle goes, and he came to me because he thought he had broken a bone from playing football. And actually he had, he'd been captured, he had chains, he had leather straps around his ankles, causing issues, restriction. And by taking those away, and they are in our etheric body, by taking that away, we can then, he could then again walk and not have the injuries that he was going to continue to have, because these restrictions are affecting us. It affects our balance, it affects how our body alignment is, it affects everything. And by taking these things away, the body can adjust itself to its proper alignment, and bones and people realign their bones, etc., lying on the table, as the body will adjust itself to its new position, or the position it should be. And one of the things I found with craniosacral therapy was I would work with people with neck pain and all sorts of things, and I could realign the skull, I could realign the skeletal, but it would go back to that position again. It kept going back to a different position, excuse me, causing pain. And so by removing the emotion or the past life memory that was there, the bone could then eventually move back to its right position.
Right. Have you discovered in your travels every individual organ seems to congregate to attract a certain emotional charge?
I wouldn't say emotional challenge, Jeff. Certainly, it is going to be more prone to certain things. And in the past, there has been poison. And certainly people with cancer, we can find that they've had cancer before. So there is a proneness to those defaults. And we may go a long time without any issues. And then suddenly we can have a trigger of an emotion or an event, and boom, there we are. It triggers and goes to that disorder. Certainly with gut issues, we find a lot of poison that has been in the background, and poison by suicide, but also poison by dirty water, toxic water, etc., or food. And of course, in the Middle Ages and we had all sorts of crawlies in the food, etc., that we would eat, causing all sorts of toxicity within the body, and that can be underlying as well, creating a lower level of immunity and a lower level of digestive performance that is going to affect the individual.
Right.
We're all different, and of course we've all got those organs, we've all got those systems, but they're all working at different parameters, and different organs can be working at different parameters to the rest of the body. So we can have very much an ad hoc or a jigsaw situation of where different things are out of sync, need to be put back into alignment.
A full-time job.
And
I was just,
where, sorry, go on.
I was just thinking about, at the moment, with all the water, which is tap water, not drinking water, and all the stuff is coming from here, there, and everywhere. Are you finding that's affecting people now at this moment, or is still going back to the deeper issues? Do you find it sort of a layer on top of what people have got? Excuse me, what's going on?
Definitely, people can be affected. Coping strategies, etc. In the world we live today, it's a scary place, and of course that causes, just turn on your TV and you have anxiety, and this will affect the gut, and the gut is also affected by the new frequencies coming in, where we are being bombarded. It's growing now to the Lion's Gate, and those frequencies are affecting us. It does affect the energy around us, and the energy around us definitely hits the solar sacral plexus. So we can have, yes, gut issues. And today there are so many things that are being passed around. Again, it depends on your strength or your weakness as to how you're going to be affected.
Very interesting. Would you like to talk about
Yes.
your book? Because I know you've written this. Well, you've written beautiful books, and I did say before, there's just so much in there. So, when you started, did you just think, I need to write a book about this, and it just flowed and flowed and flowed? How did it come about that you've put all these books together?
Well, The Shell of Soul was the second book. The first book was The Pregnancy and Birth, which was all about what I've been talking about, birth and the impacts of birth and how we are affected mentally and emotionally. But we've also got the second book was around explaining about how we tick, because when I started teaching in 2005, I realized that people didn't understand how they ticked and how the energetics interfaced and so on. And people would say to me, I wish I could find a book with it all in, all the information in. So that was my remit, really, to start to explain that we have a physical body, but actually we are a unit of energy as well, and how that energy does affect the performance of the physical body. And everything is connected, nothing is separate. And the energetics affects the physical and biological, and the biological affects the energetics. So that was my remit, and tried to think of all the areas that make up those parts, and so went from there. But I also wanted to put in some of the explanation around that. So there's lots of case studies there, working with people. So in effect, it's a little bit about the D.A.R.E story as well. And this is where we found people with digestive issues, for instance, and then correlating that with what I was talking about in the book, explaining about the bigger picture of who we are, how we tick, and it's not all. And this is where we have huge areas of support, such as your six senses and your inner gold, as I call it, that is then helping you to navigate life in a very different way, which is how the support of the intuition, third eye, etc., can help you. Certainly the six senses is your inner sat-nav, as I call it. And this inner sat-nav is there to help us, to give us our a guided signpost for you. For instance, if you are at a crossroads and you normally go left, but then you have this little thing in your head that says, don't go left today, go right. And we can override it and say, no, I am going to go left because that's where I go. But actually, it could be saving you from an accident. It could be saving you from missing your appointment. And you find that actually that inner voice, that intuition, and when you are connected to it fully, and because it is very much a biological connection through the pituitary and the pineal, that actually helps you then to navigate life and being able to save you these or going circles or chaos we live. Connected to our six senses can really give us very clear pathways and helping us to achieve. Life actually speeds up when we're connected to our six senses. And I have a course called ZEST of Life, Health and Energetics, that explains this. Actually, your energetics highlight illness coming your way. So it shows depletion in certain areas in the body that can then help you to correct and help you to ward off illness coming your way.
Well, that's interesting, because I mean, it's always, like hindsight, really, and it's always good to know, like, get warning signals, and you might have something happening, but you ignore it and you carry on, and you've got a little pain or something going on, and you carry on, and it's like taking action the moment you're aware of something's going on, because there's a start. And I know I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but it's like your toenails or your fingernails, like when people get a fungus or whatever they call, in their, or they get in their toes, but ignore it. That's the start of your body getting rid of it the only way it can, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's showing, it's coming up in the body. It's showing you I'm over here, come and do something. And it's taking that action. You know, going back to my husband and his accident, was he was on his way down the M1 to stay overnight for a meeting the next day. Late Sunday afternoon, he's driving along and a voice in his head said, call off at this service and have a cup of coffee. He pulled in to the service station into a parking space and then overruled it and said, no, I don't want a cup of coffee. Drove out into a pileup. And that's how he ended up having his back issue. And this is where I say to people, it can be that dramatic, that moment of taking action. And when you have those insights, work with them, don't ignore them. It saved his life. It did save his life, because otherwise he would have driven right into, he'd have been at the front of the queue. But he didn't get away with everything. And this is how your intuition and working with your clairsentience, which is connected to your nervous system, your pineal and pituitary, and where you control it rather than it controlling you. Because some people can have a fall, or they have a hoc intuition or insights. This is where you are in control of you, and it is a 24/7 support package that works with you. And they are skills that you can work with for yourself. And this is what I teach. I want people to learn how to work with their body, how to work with themselves, how to work with these insights, so that they can help themselves and prevent and avoid at all costs. You know, for my husband, for the family, it was 10 years of his life, because it affected him emotionally, psychologically, and so on. 10 years of his life that we could all have avoided. If he'd stayed for that cup of coffee, he wouldn't have known any different. He wouldn't have known what had happened. There may have been cues. Oh, well, there's something happened. That would have been it. But this is how critical it can be for us to take action. And I've denied it. I've said, oh no, I've overruled. And I've paid the price for it. I don't anymore. I listen to it, I work with it, and your life improves because you do, and it's there with you 24/7. It doesn't switch off, it doesn't have a holiday. You don't have to look up on your phone because you have it, and it's more accurate than anything on your phone because it knows and works with you and wants the best for you instead of somebody else's idea of what your life should be.
Excuse me, because I know in the past, you know, like if I'm going somewhere and I've forgot my keys or something, and then I've come back in again, and I think, oh God, I'm going to be late or what have you, but I've got total acceptance. Well, that's fine. That's how it is, and that's how it's meant to be. And then, you know, I get somewhere, and you know, accidents already happened, and I know by me fluffing about, doing whatever I'm doing and making myself late, it's all in divine order, if you like, because I've saved myself being in a pile up. And I've seen that, you know, a few times I've been late or something, or I've gone off on a tangent. I think, oh God, I've gone the wrong way. And then I think, oh, well, this is another adventure. And then you know that there was a blockage down there. So I suppose my question would be, how can, because like they say your pineal gland and your pituitary gland is calcified and things like that. I mean, do you find that a lot in people when you work with people, that's one of the biggest things from stopping people to be more in tune with themselves?
No, it's actually belief in themselves, doubt. It's around... I can't have that. But there's also some fears of having it because through the ages, we have been diverted from connecting to those things, and it's been seen as wrong and evil in some cases. And of course, we have been punished for using our gifts, and so that can be at the back of it. But no, the pineal and pituitary have connected very well. It does tend to be our own emotions around it as to how much we want to accept. And certainly I've had people where it is open, but they still deny themselves that connection. So again, it comes down to mind over matter and the emotional impacts that they've had. The promises we've had of not to see again, not to use those gifts, the vows, the promises, all of those sort of things can be there. But it can also be karma, where they have used their, abused their gifts, if you like, and there can be karma there that is stopping them from using. And again, we have methods to deal with karma, so, and help them to move on from that. So it's variable.
Interesting. So where, you know, with all what you're doing, have you got any more books that you're writing at the same time? You know, where are you, what is your, where are you going with all of this now? Because you've come so far, you've written books, you know, you've developed different programs and trainings. What is your end goal? Are you still just work in progress?
This book is about menopause and helping women to understand the bigger picture to menopause and perimenopause and self-help that we can do for ourselves, and helping people to understand, because I think there's a lot of holes in the understanding. And although we are pushing ahead with trying to awaken in the workplace, we actually need to awaken in society and the home, and helping women to be better supported and understood. Unfortunately, here in the UK, I don't know about in Australia, but certainly in UK, GPs do not get an awful lot of education around the reality of menopause. So I'm also looking to teach professionals, etc. The theory is good, but the reality is very, very different to the theory. And I think this is where the gaping holes are around in society, and certainly for some professionals. Having been through the menopause, lived through the menopause, and a very early menopause at 33, I can say that I've had a lot of experience with it, and from a clinical point of view, specializing in women's health, it's a big area that we need to awaken, and the revolution has started, but we're not moving fast enough. And certainly Joy Wisdom Trust is also around helping and educating women, and I have practitioners that can also help women. So it's about setting up that support and women knowing where they can go to. And again, it's focused on their needs, not the label or the theory, because we have to deal with them. And of course, we can have influences from our lineage and from our mother, our grandmother, etc., past lives that come into it. So we look at all of that. It's not just treating the symptoms, it's treating the person, which is the main focus, and about integrated medicine and integrated approaches. That is the only way to treat people. So that's my aim at the moment. It's getting the time to do it, Andrena, as you know. So
How do you sleep at night, Joy, with all what you do?
Sometimes, well, I was a lot younger when I was writing the other books, so I would be going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, up at 6, and fitting it into my day. But yes, when you're writing a book, other things have to be put to one side, and you have to dedicate yourself wholly, and it out by the autumn. Yeah, busy times.
How long did it take you to write each book?
The first book, the pregnancy and birth book, took me 2 years, but it is a very big book. It's 700 pages, I think, but it's one of those that you can dip in and out of. I wrote it so that you had a theme such as ADHD. You could have a look at that, and it would show you the information you needed it, and certainly practitioners have found it really, really invaluable, as do first-time mums or mums that are having other children. Pregnancy and birth is very different experience for each pregnancy, as you well may know. So the first one took 2 years. The Shell of Soul took about 12 months, I think.
Really?
And then
Wow.
the mirror image took about, I think it was about 9 months, the mirror image. Smaller book.
Yeah. I noticed on your website that Jeff was just showing just now that you've got like a CD cover, and it says you can listen to a recording of the first chapter. I'm not sure which one it was.
All the books have a free introduction.
Have you done that?
Download.
Yeah. So I think that's I've not seen that before, so I think that's a lovely idea. So, that's something that people, after listening to you talking and want to follow more through or have a listen, you've got this option. Yeah. So fabulous. Courses and workshops coming up. What have you got coming up?
Well, tomorrow I've got Angel Day, and then I have got the Soul and Soul Psychology, which is also looking at karma influences. So we have 1 day of karma influences, and then the next day we're looking at the soul impacts from those, and how we can have a better connection to our soul. So that's a 2-day Soul and Soul Psychology. I also run a week 8 or 12 week karma liberation, consecutive weeks. Conscious communication is another one. Again, an evening workshop, and we have a 2-day workshop with the conscious communication, a 1-day workshop with the karma liberation. So they will be starting in September, and we have D.A.R.E training, the D.A.R.E practitioners training, that starts in September as well. And I've got the health and energetics, what I was talking about, looking at improving senses, etc. That is also in September. So we have a little bit of a break in the summer, and we have Power of 3, Diamond Inga's Light Healing Stage 1 of Power of 3. That is the 19th to the 20th of July. So again, they're all online, and this is where we can go to bigger access across the world to help people to have the education. And we do, on the practitioners, we do evening slots as well, and face-to-face with methods, etc.
So do you put all this up yourself?
Sorry?
Do you do all this yourself, all your website and all of this as well?
Website was made by my son, and I have a lovely assistant, Julia, that helps with putting the workshops and new things, the blogs, the videos. As I say, we've got the new video about the digestion and transgenerational impacts, just gone on to the website as well. I have a lot of things up on YouTube, so you can put in Joy Wisdom, you can find different things on there, covering a whole range. We've got a lot of videos.
You certainly have. Gosh. Okay, well,
Yeah, we
it's been lovely your sharing, and I know there's still so much more to you. But for this week, your focus has been on the shell of the soul and helping people to understand that, a headache is not in an X-ray. So it's absolutely fascinating. So, is there any other wisdom or anything you'd like to share before we finish today?
I think one of the things that we all need to do in the world is to be kind to one another, to reduce those emotional negativities that we live. Have patience, have tolerance, and not everybody is having a good day or having a go at you. So do think of the bigger picture and kind to one another, because it's the answer.
Yeah, and that's so true, because I watched a little video on Facebook or somewhere yesterday or the day before, and it was called Kindness. And so I think they must have been in a car going along, or some walking, and there'd be a guy in a suit, and she'd say, "Wow, don't you look smart?" And then he, "Oh, thank you," and you could see they suddenly brighten up, and then
Right.
she joked at somebody else, "Wow, where did you get a suit like that?" And "Oh, thank you," and it was only a short one, but you could see the reaction was immediate. And I thought, yeah, and I've always made a point when I go anywhere, somebody's got something nice on, and I always say, "Oh, don't you look lovely?" or "That color suits you," and it just gives people that little boost. So yeah, very important words. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, Miss Joy Wisdom. And we look forward to having you back later on again, and hopefully the signal will be a little bit better, because it was been, as you'll see on the feedback, is trial and error. But anyway, so thank you once again for being our guest this week. It's been absolutely fascinating, and thank you, Jeffrey, and see everybody next week, same time, same place. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.